Shooter. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome back to the Slang of Ages Podcast. I'm your host, Preston Frazier. Yes, we're in season 9. This is episode 1 of season 9. I believe it's the 115th episode of the podcast, and I appreciate you all being here. First, before we get started, I want to thank the executive producer of the podcast, Cynthia Tom, Vinicio Cifuentes as Show Frazier, as well as those other members, the producers, and engineers who are on my Patreon page. You can find the Slang of Ages podcast at Patreon and contribute or join as a member. Also, remember my book, Yes Indeed, Tales from Yes without Don Anderson is out. It should be available on all major platforms of physical and digital formats. And the first book I wrote, Toto the Band, Not the Dog, is also out on all major platforms and retailers, physical and digital um, formats as well. So go out, get those books. And my third book is half finished. So hopefully by the time we reach the end of season 9, I can talk a little bit more about my third book. I'm really excited by it, about it, and really has some great interviews in it, as well as some great photos and analysis regarding music. But if you're new to Slang of Ages podcast, welcome. This is season 9. And what I do is talk about my favorite music from my collection. Now, season 8 contained 15 episodes of interviews. This season, I'm going to switch it up and have some interviews, but also, of course, talk about my favorite albums. That's what the podcast is about. And on this episode, the first episode of the season, I'm talking about an album by J.D. Souther. Now, if you've been following the podcast, you know that in episode number 15 of season 6, which is the finale of season 6, we talked about J.D. Souther's album Natural History, which was a re-recording of some of his favorite songs. And then in season 2, episode 1, we talked about the wonderful J.D. Souther album, If the World Was New. So for episode number 1, season 9, we're going to talk about his 1984 release called Home by Dawn. And if you know J.D. Souther, you might remember this album, but if you're not a big fan of J.D. Souther, you've probably never heard of this album, Home by Dawn. It is a wonderful album, but it also marks a turning point in his career because J.D. Souther at that point decided he didn't want to do music. He wanted to take time off to raise his kids. I think he adopted 2 kids in the early 80s, and he wanted to live out his life in California. Then I think he moved to outside of Nashville. So it took over 20 years off from music between If the World Was You and Home by Dawn. He didn't tour much. He worked on his private life. So 84 marked a turning point. It was his last album for a long time. Now, before this album, he had some other great albums, of course, but J.D. Souther is mostly known for his work as a collaborator with Don Henley, Glenn Frey. He wrote, of course, Best of My Love with the Eagles. He co-wrote New Kid in Town with the Eagles. He co-wrote a bunch of different songs from Joe Walsh. So he's known for his collaborations, but has a wonderful solo career, and this album really proves that. Now, Home by Dawn got off to a weird start because Souther decided that he wanted to produce the album by himself, I believe, initially, and he brought in a very top-notch band with Jeff Porcaro on drums, former bassist David Hungate on bass. If you know anything about Toto, you know that Hungate left after recording of Toto 4. And he brought in some of his favorite musicians on guitar, Waddy Wachtel, I think Josh Leo as well, Miss Malband on keyboards, J.D. Souther on acoustic guitar. But he didn't like the results of those recording sessions, so he kind of scrapped it and went back to the basics, using the basic songs that he already had for the album, but switching up the musicians. And he also brought in David Malloy as a producer. And David Malloy is well known in the Nashville circuit as a great producer. And Malloy used Richard Bosworth as an engineer, Joe Bogain also helped with as assistant engineer. And Souther really wanted to keep a core band, so he had Waddy Wachtel, his longtime collaborator, friend, and of course, friend of Warren Zevon, as one of the guitarists, and Nashville's Josh Leo as the guitarist. You may know Josh Leo from Jimmy Buffett's band, the Coral Reefer Band. Souther also brought along his friend Vince Malman on keyboards, and he also brought in some of his friends from the Eagles, namely Don Henley and Timothy B. Schmidt, on backing vocals on a few songs. And one of the other major contributors to this album was David Hungate. Though Jeff Porcaro did not return for the Home by Dawn sessions, Hungate, who had moved from LA to Nashville after recording Toto 4, was the really the anchor for this album, rhythmic anchor. And what Souther did was he decided he wanted to play drums on this album. Now, Souther was a multi instrumentalist. He really started his career off as a drummer, a jazz drummer. So he has pretty good drum chops, which you hear in this album. And it has a great feel. Now, a totally different feel than Jeff Porcaro would have provided, but it made the album really coalesce together. What made the album even better, though, is of course that J.D. Souther produced and came up with some great songs and some great collaborations. So the album kicks off with the title track, Home by Dawn. It announces the album. It's a statement of the album. It is a funny song. It's poignant, and it's one that Souther wrote by himself. It talks about a guy whose wife tells him he needs to make sure he gets back from his night of partying. The first lines of the song are, he said goodbye and just walked right out the door. Oh, she said goodbye and just walked right out the door. She looked so good, she must have practiced it before. No, that's not right. It said he said goodbye because he's the one leaving and he walked right out the door. And he said, I got me some business. You know, it shouldn't take long. Oh, be home by dawn is what she said. The boy's in trouble now. Be home by dawn. So she's laying down the law. He's ignoring her. And of course, he doesn't come home by dawn. But the song kicks off as fast paced, some great drumming by Souther with Hungate providing this really deep Motown kind of groove. And then this really great arsenal of guitars from Waddy Wachtel and Josh Leo. And Josh Leo, I think, handles the guitar solo. So that's a great start to the album. We're moving along, and things are flowing. Then we get to the next song, which I think was the first and maybe only single from Home by Dawn. It's called Go Ahead and Rain. And it is really the emotional centerpiece of the album. Souther sings his butt off, and he has a habit too of not processing his vocals too much, not overdubbing his vocals much, and even going for a raw vocal, first take vocal. And here, it just it just sings. The song absolutely sings. The song begins with the lyrics, "I don't know how you go on to sorrow, weighing you down like a stone, but then can't sit here and give advice so far from home. You could be the girl I'm searching for, but I hardly know your name. Please, won't you love me anyway? Won't you love me anyway? Won't you let me know what your little heart says? Baby, go ahead and rain on me." And he does let out all the emotion in his vocal and all his feeling. And the great thing about this is his backing vocals, which are really just Souther, are fantastic, as well as his lead vocal, especially when he gets to the line, "This whole world keeps spinning around without a lucky guy like me. Please, won't you love me anyway? Won't you do what your little heart's trying to say? Baby, go ahead and rain on me." This song features Souther on acoustic guitar, Waddy Wachtel on electric, and Josh Leo on electric. It has a beautiful, timeless solo by Josh Leo. The next song is another kind of J.D. Souther classic, and this one is called Say You Will. This is a duet with his former girlfriend and longtime friend, Linda Ronstadt, and this should have been a huge hit. It is a song full of emotion and passion, and their voices really, really blend together. Now they've done songs together before. Hearts Against the Wind, they've done that. Silver Blue was one cover of a JD Souther song that Linda Ronstadt did. So it just really, really sounds fantastic. It's great to hear Linda Ronstadt and JD Souther together. And the lyrics are just, again, fantastic JD Souther lyrics. Again, a song he wrote by himself. Say you will, do whatever I want you to. Say you will, go wherever I go. This love won't kill anybody who touches it. So say all right, kiss me goodnight, and say you won't let me go. And then Linda's part starts with maybe I will. If you talk real pretty, maybe I will. But I don't know. You can stay until either one of us gives up. And then, all right, kiss me goodnight and say you won't let me go. It just smokes. It's a fast paced song. And Souther's drumming is slightly behind a beat. We're kind of reminiscent of Don Henley's drumming, but it really works. And the guitar solo, which I think, let me see who that's by. That was by, I believe, Billy Walker, who's the third guitarist, electric guitarist from this album. Does a great job. And Randy McCormick works out the keyboard parts as well with David Hungate on bass and Souther on drums. It just smokes. Song should have been a hit. I'm not sure if it was released a single because there were no major singles from this album. The album didn't really sell well, but it really does work well. So the next song after Say You Will is a song which the Dixie Chicks covered and had a kind of big hit with it. It's called I'll Take Care of You. And this is really just JD Souther on vocal, lead vocal. There's no background vocal. And it features Billy Walker on acoustic guitar and Souther on piano. When I first saw J.D. Souther on piano, when I first saw J.D. Souther, which was back in '85, he played piano, acoustic guitar in his concert. He's an accomplished piano player, like I mentioned, a multi instrumentalist. And here he does a great job. And the version of the Dixie Chicks did was a hit in country music, and you can see why. It's just a sweet, earnest song. And it starts with the lyrics: "Times are hard and rent is high. What can a working girl do? I struggle through another day, and I'll take care of you. Nights are long and dreams are cold. If they're all you wake up to, but should you rise with crying eyes, I'll take care of you." Let them talk about us, call us funny things. People sometimes do. I don't care as long as you know I love you, and you know I do. That's almost the whole song there. And it's beautiful. It's touching. It wouldn't be a big pop hit, but I'm glad the Dixie Chicks at least got it and made it a big country hit. And it worked really well for them. And it's a beautiful song, one of his best songs. And that's saying something, considering the guy co-wrote New Kid in Town. The last song on side A, if you have the vinyl, because there's a re-release of the vinyl, is of course the last song is All For You. And this is a song which, again, is written solely by Souther, features Josh Leo and Billy Walker on electric guitars, Vince Malmet and Randy McCormick on acoustic piano, synthesizers, and organ, Hungate on bass, David Hungate on bass, Souther on drums, and all the vocals are done by J.D. Souther with Josh Leo handling the electric guitar solo. It's a mid-tempo rocker, and it is a brilliant vocal performance by Souther. It is a pleading, desperate song saying, "Hey, I did all this for you. You should love me." And again, it has another great lyric. Let me see if I can remember what the lyrics say. This is all for you. This is all I ever do. This is just for you. This is all for you. I'm not really doing that justice because it really does have a great lyric to it. So I'll have to read it to you. I have the album right here. Um, and if it calls for you, you know I do anything you want me to. The darkest night is just the kind I like, but I can't sleep it through. And that doesn't make it any easier to talk to you. Oh, this is all for you. Well, no, I could be right or I could be wrong about you. This is just one night, and I know life is too long. Go on living without you. He just he's such a good wordsmith, and you can see why the Eagles brought him in. He was a friend of Glenn Fry's first with the band. They were in a band together, Long Branch Penny Whistle. But his acumen as a writer for music and words never left him till the end. He was always a great musician and a great wordsmith. And this is a song which just it's another beautiful song which no one ever heard because the album wasn't a hit. So back in the old days when you had the old records, there was side two, and on side two, he starts the song with a song called Night, which is a co-write with Waddy Wachtel. It is a kind of up-tempo rocker. And this is probably the weakest song on the album, but even that being said, it's still a strong song. It's just not as strong as its surrounding songs. Lyrically, it doesn't go really far from the initial lyrics of night. I see night coming down, falling around my head. Night, it must be night, because it always is falling all over. You just say all right, and I say burn on city lights. Did you ever see such a night? So the song goes on like that. It has a great rolling synthesizer beat to it, which is given to it by Vince Malmed, and Steve Goldstein also plays synth. Waddy Wachtel and Billy Walker handle the guitars, so Billy Walker, not Waddy, plays the solo, and Hungate's there for the bass with Souther and drums. It's a up tempo rocker. It's a great start to side two. It's not the greatest song on the album, but it's still very good. It's not romantic, it's more introspective, actually. And then the next song is more introspective. It is a sweet song, and it is a song which everyone should hear. It's called Don't Know What I'm Going to Do. It's a simple song at 3 minutes and 30 seconds, but it really does tug at the heartstrings. But it's just also a great example of songcraft. The lyrics are I don't know, I don't want to spend another night dreaming these dreams about you. I don't even know if I'm wrong or right. I just don't know what I'm going to do. I've been thinking about some things you said, but I'm a poor boy in love with you. Gee, I never thought it would go this way, but I don't know what I'm going to do. Here you are so close to me, and I'm not the kind that just wait here patiently. Then you have a beautiful lyrical solo by Josh Leo on guitar. And then Souther does a key change going up an octave and sings his butt off with repeating the main refrain of the song. It is beautiful, it's stunning, and it doesn't really need to rise above those two verses and the bridge and the chorus. Musically, it's calm, but there's such a tension to it, and it just works out perfectly. Another perfect song. Going into another up-tempo rocker, the eighth track on the album is Bad News Travels Fast. This is one that Salva wrote by himself. It is a song which also should have been released on album oriented radio. It has a great feel with, again, Randy McCormick on keyboard, Souther on acoustic guitar, drums, Hungate on bass. Features Billy Walker, Josh Leo on electric guitar, and like I mentioned, Souther acoustic. And then you have the ringers, Don Henley and Timothy B. Schmidt of the Eagles, with J.D. Souther on backing vocals. I mean, it's interesting that Souther, like I mentioned, was a member of the band with Glenn Fry. Can't remember the name of it, something Penny Whistle. But anyway, before the Eagles. But Salva didn't invite Glenn Fry to help sing on this album. It's just his old buddy Don Henley, who he wrote later Heart of the Matter with, and some other great songs, and Timothy B. Schmidt. But the song builds and builds. The vocals work great during the chorus where all three of them are singing together. And the lyrics are good. Of course, they're good. The song starts with I may look like a loner, but I made my share You must be keeping a record of all this. I guess I just don't care. I might forget the way you use and remember the way you walk. Hours are falling like dominoes, baby. This is no time to talk. Bad news travels fast, and good things never last. And the song builds and builds and builds. Um, when you get to the Josh Leo middle solo on the song, after that you have a key change, and you have the ooh wah ooh vocals from Schmidt, Henley, and Souther, and then at the end of the song, he repeats the refrain: "Bad news travels fast, and good news never lasts." It concludes that there's an anguish in his voice, there's a yearning in his voice, and the song comes together almost recorded, almost sounding as if it was recorded live in studio. It may have been, I don't know, with the guitars wailing, Souther really at the end of his rope in his vocals, and Henley and Schmidt helping out in those backing vocals. Perfect end to an album, but it's not the end. The album closes with the song All I Want. And this is a little unusual because this song is almost a solo piece. It just features, well, it is really a solo piece because it features JD Souther on drums, um, electronic keyboards. It has a great Fender Rhodes sound and really just his voice. One voice, not overdubbed, not really processed. And it's kind of a devastating song about relationships. Lyrics start with, "All I want to do is to dream what dreams come true. If the world would last a year or two, all I want is you. All I ever see stands right behind what's right in front of me. If a million hearts would break in two, all I want is you. All those lies, I didn't really mind them. You know, all those times I was standing right behind them all. While we are still the chosen few, all I want is you. Darling, all I want is you, with no mistakes or few. If the world would last a year or two, all I want is you." And that is the end. That is the end of the album. That is what that was, what, 9 songs, 8 songs, 9 songs, wonderful songs, no filler, great playing by Souther, Hungate, Josh Leo, Waddy Wachtel, Vince Malmet, assistance by Linda Ronstadt on Say You Will, assistance by Don Haley and Timothy B. Schmidt on Bad News Travels Fast. But this is J.D. Souther's album, and he does a fantastic job bringing it all home. And like I mentioned, this was his last album for quite some time. J.D. Souther decided, as I mentioned, to take some time off and work on his family. He had plenty of money because he made it from his solo albums and also from the Eagles. So he took off from 1984 to until 2008, which saw the release of the brilliant If the World Was You. Home by Dawn charted at number 203 on the album charts. So again, not a big hit. His biggest hit was the album You're Only Lonely, which had a top 10 song, the title track, and that charted at 41. And he was really never to reach the top 40 album chart again, but he released some wonderful, wonderful albums after this. As I mentioned, If the World Was You, 2008, the live EP, Rain, 2009, Natural History, which I mentioned earlier in the podcast, 2011, Midnight in Tokyo from the Natural History Tour, 2012, the Larry Klein produced Swan Song for J.D. Souther, Tenderness, in 2015, which is an album you should seek out as well, and very jazzy. And there was a 2003 release of his 2076, sorry, 1976 recording at the boarding house. All these albums are worth having. For Home by Dawn, Go Ahead and Rain reached number 104 on the pop chart. and that was the only album which really reached the pop chart, only song which only reached the pop charts from this album. So the album is available now. It's still out. You can buy it on deluxe vinyl. You can buy it on CDs, still available on CD. And it is also available, of course, on download. And there is a special release of extended release of Home by Dawn, which has some additional tracks which did not make the album. That includes a song "Hearts Against the Wind," which, of course, is a J.D. Souther song, or co-composed song. He does as a duet with Linda Ronstadt, which is well worth owning. There is a demo version of "I'll Take Care of You," which is very much like the Dixie Chicks version. And then there's Little Girl Blue, which is also a demo version, which has not been released before. And then Girls All Over the World, another demo version, which was not previously released. So I would encourage you to find Home by Dawn. I love the vinyl. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful release. But want to buy the digital copy, go ahead and do that as well. Of course, you know that J.D. Souther died in 2024. He was 78 when he died. He was about to start a tour with Carla Bonoff, who, um, interesting enough, I saw J.D. Sal the first time in 1985 at the Bayou in Washington. It was him and Carla Bonoff. So I was looking forward to seeing him again. I had met him 3 times when I lived in Chicago and always enjoyed his concerts. I love his music. I'm sad that he's gone because he was such a great lyricist, musician, and storyteller. So there you go. That is the first episode of season 9 of the Slang of Ages podcast. Again, thanks to my Patreon supporters, executive producers, Vinicio Cifuentes, Cheryl Frazier, Cynthia Tom. Please like, share, and subscribe. Remember, this podcast is available also on YouTube. Go over there and like and share and subscribe it. I appreciate the ratings. I also appreciate you buying my book, Yes Indeed, Tales from Yes, about John Anderson, and of course, Toto the band, not the dog. Now, I'll be back next week, or 2 weeks actually, with another episode for season 9 and have a bunch of interviews coming up this year as well. But I want to have more reviews like I did in season 7. I appreciate each of you, and I will see you soon. Take care.